My name is Aaron Heilman. I'm the worship leader at Point of Hope Church in Blue Springs, Missouri, Lutheran Missouri Synod. And today I'll be talking about this book, Joining Jesus on His Mission, How to Be an Everyday Missionary by Greg Finke. Mission, outreach, evangelism. As a Lutheran, do you feel a twinge of anxiety when you hear these words? I know I do. These are big and scary concepts to the average churchgoer. In the past few decades, we have struggled with these concepts, and the fruit, or lack thereof, is painfully evident. Thankfully, God has provided a resource to help us get comfortable with the thought of engaging in mission, outreach, and evangelism. Greg Finke has blessed us with a great book, Joining Jesus on His Mission, How to Be an Everyday Missionary. There are many books written on this topic or these topics, but many of them are overly process-based and seemingly complicated, at least to me, to the point where they become overwhelming. Greg Finke has recognized this and provided an approach that works for anyone at any comfort level with mission, outreach, and evangelism. Now, early on in the book, Finke shares this paradigm shift that is integral to changing how we think about joining Jesus on His mission in the U.S. He says, in a remarkably short amount of time, the U.S. has become one of the largest mission fields on the planet. The odds are very good that right now, wherever you live in the U.S., the people in your neighborhood and workplace are largely unconnected to a local congregation and may not be connected to Jesus at all. We are no longer a church who is servicing a community filled with a variety of Christians. We are now a church who finds itself needing to be on mission in a mission field, and we weren't trained for that. Now, Finke has a perfect illustration to help us understand just how radical this shift is. He tells the story of the Choluteca Bridge in Honduras. This was a wonderful state-of-the-art bridge that spanned the Choluteca River. However, Hurricane Mitch in October of 1998 brought so much rain to the Choluteca River Valley that it changed the course of the river. This caused this wonderful bridge to become obsolete and literally out of place. I encourage you to Google Choluteca Bridge after hurricane to visually get a sense of just how radical this event was. And this event, it perfectly paints a picture of how radical the change in the U.S. culture towards Christianity has become. The river has moved, but we are still trying to get people to cross over that old bridge that's no longer, it doesn't even work. Now, there are a few concepts that Finke wants us to embrace. First, we must believe that Jesus is fully alive and present today in our mission field. He is doing most of the work preparing the field for harvest. Our role is to join Him in His work. Now, Finke encourages us to ask ourselves and others this question: how is Jesus messing with you? The answer to this question will give us a sense of the who, what, when, and where Jesus is calling us into action. For me, it's a huge relief to know that Jesus is doing most of the hard work. Finke also assures us that Jesus can use us no matter what our abilities are. He orchestrates all our individual efforts into one great symphony of mission. The next core concept is to embrace the idea that we are all missionaries called to live missionally. Finke calls this missional living. This means that we live out each day as if we are on a mission trip. Instead of being on a mission to a foreign land, we are on mission in our own neighborhoods. So we are neighborhood missionaries. He then goes on to define neighborhood as more than just a geographic location. He defines it as communities or groups that we belong to. In this sense, we belong to multiple neighborhoods: our workplace, the grocery store we shop at, where we get our haircut, our church, our small group, etc., right? Now, next, Finke wants to embrace inefficiency. He wants us to embrace the reality of the messiness of mission. He wants us to focus on quality over quantity. He challenges us to start small and to stay small. He wants us to join Jesus in his work a few people at a time. Finke asks us to connect with people we feel connected to. If we don't truly want to be in a relationship with the people Jesus calls us to, we won't have any influence in their lives. We won't build the trust and respect necessary to have much impact. This takes time and can be very messy. Within this framework, Finke gives several suggestions on how to go about joining Jesus on his mission. Instead of creating programs and events, he encourages us to fine-tune our ability to see where Jesus is at work and what is already happening in the field that he's called us to in our missional neighborhoods. We will have far greater missional impact if all of us are intentionally being missional with a few people in our neighborhoods than a few people trying to be missional with multitudes of people. The one-on-one approach was the most effective for Jesus. Finke argues that it will also be the most effective for us. Makes sense, right? Ultimately, becoming true friends with our neighbors, true friends, will have more missional impact than any program or event that a church can do. The final piece is that Finke encourages us to get together with other like-minded individuals to stay encouraged. These people don't even have to belong to the same church, right? Finke provides us 5 questions to ask one another to stay engaged in the mission. Some of these questions can be used in the mission field as well. Additionally, Finke provides subsets of these questions to dig a little deeper as trust develops. The 5 questions are: how did you see God at work in your life this week? What has God been teaching you in his word? What kind of conversations are you having with pre-Christians? What good can we do around here? And how can we help you in prayer? This book helps us to imagine how we can join Jesus in the work he is currently doing, rather than starting something from scratch or forcing things to develop. He gives several examples of how Jesus used this approach. Jesus' interaction with the woman at the well in John chapter 4 is a great example. This book takes away the complexity of mission, outreach, and evangelism. It takes away the heavy expectations of efficiency and performance. Finke shows us that we can do this without adding any more programs or events to our church. We can do this without totally disrupting our schedules. We just need to get better at seeing what Jesus is already doing in the lives of those in our lives, and then for us to offer help when we can. Finke summarizes by saying this: joining Jesus' mission is not about changing what we do when we go to church on Sunday mornings. It is about changing what we do when we get out as church into our neighborhoods, workplaces, and schools on Monday mornings and the rest of the week. And this book will show you how to do that in simple, achievable, and sustainable ways. Thanks for watching. I encourage you to get this book and study it with your small group. And let's join Jesus on his mission. Have a blessed week. Thank you. Bye.